Roycroft pack frame. This was one of the skills that I had to employ when I was in Canada this year. We're going to talk about how you make it. We're going to talk about its history today. So don't go away. While I'm under the direct supervision of the Snow Beast here, we're going to talk about the Roycroft pack frame. It's a very simple design. It's very easy to put together. Tom Roycroft was a Korean War vet, and what he did is he actually marveled at the packs that men were carrying, huge, large, heavy loads on these small pack frames. The nice thing about the pack frame is that it was actually cut very long. It was only about maybe 6 inches off the ground, off the two stanchions that come in the back. It kind of looks something like this. As you can see here, this is much longer. This one's made out of bamboo as well. What they would do is they would actually use this, and it was strapped on their back, just like a regular Roycroft pack frame was, except that when they needed to rest, what they did is they actually leaned back, and because this was so long, they actually just propped themselves up and they made themselves into a tripod. Now, of course, a pack like this is not going to work and be conducive to walking in the woods, which is why he developed the smaller pack frame. The only tools that we actually need to complete this would be our knife and our saw, obviously, for cutting our limbs and our pieces. We're going to need the bottom shelf piece, and we need 2 uprights. We need paracord or bank line, and we need something to use for our straps. I elect to use webbing. Size of the wood that you're going to be using, well, you're going to want to have something a little bit bigger than thumb width thickness. Okay, here's my thumb. Take that. It's just a little bit bigger than my thumb. You also want it to be of a nice strong wood, and you want it to be as straight as possible, and this will make life easier for you when you're actually putting it together. Now let's talk about the proportions. The 3 pieces that you're going to be making, 2 of them are going to be your uprights, and then you're going to have your bottom shelf. Now the shelf is essentially, it's going to be between your elbow and your fingertips, so that's as wide as you're going to want that piece. As far as the 2 uprights, you're going to go from your armpit to your fingertips. First thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to debark all your pieces, and I've already done it here. So let's go ahead and we're going to debark those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to debark our sticks. You know, a lot of times what I see is people, when they actually debark, what they do is they take their blade and they actually use the sharp edge. And this is what they wind up getting a lot of times. You know, if you have a nice sharp spine on the back of your knife, like I've discussed, you know, this makes life a whole lot simpler. So, that's what I would do. Once we have everything debarked, what we're going to want to do is, we're just going to round off these edges. Alright, so we're going to want to take that hard edge off, and basically it's just like if you were making a tent stake. It'll help while it's drying, and then it'll also help to prevent as much cracking as the wood dries out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that right now. Okay, as you can see, this is going to start to come together nicely. Alright, now start to talk about our joints here. I see a lot of times, I see guys, what they'll do is they'll put notches in there, you know, and then they run the problem of, well, I got to mark this, and then I got to mark that, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. Okay, you know, very simply, all you have to do is make flat spots. Okay, just make a flat spot. Make a flat spot right here. Make a flat spot right here. Line it up. All right, this is going to be held together very simply with 2 knots. Actually, with 1 knot. It's the Canadian jam knot, and you're going to use it. You're going to put 2 on each corner, okay? And then that way, it'll hold everything all in very nicely. A lot of times you get guys, they do a lot of lashings and things like that. Well, you know, a lot of times what we want to do is we want to save our cordage, all right? Well, I'm only going to use about 5 feet, and that's to tie all my knots, plus my tie-outs. You know, I'm going to put 2 down here, and I'm going to put 2 up there on the uprights. So one of the things that you want to do before you actually start making your flat spots on your pieces is you want to try to find the straightest areas. You want to try to look and see where there may be a couple little bumps bruises, whatever. Take a look at my bottom piece. Now obviously, see, we have this little knot here, and we could shave that off if we really wanted to, but do we really need to? No. We just look at that and we go, well, okay, I'm not going to put this towards my back because, you know, I don't want it coming through my back. And if I put it this way, going out, you know, going out away from my body, well, that's fine. But if you take a look at it, well, there's a little whoopie-doo in there. So what I got to do is I want to look at it, and I want to look down, and I want to see, well, this is the straightest plane right here. So that's what I'm going to do. So whether or not I put this up or whether or not I put it down doesn't really matter. I'm just working on the straight plane. So I just make a flat spot here, and I put a flat spot here. Very simple. And what you do is you take a little bit at a time until you get to the point where it rests flat. Okay, if you take a lot off, unfortunately you can't put it back once you take it off. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and start working on some flat spots. Okay. And again, you can see it's just a little bit of a flat spot. As you can see here, both the upright and the base plate, or the shelf per se, have been shaved and they're flat. Now they lay in there nice and flush with each other. So now we're going to go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a jam knot here, and we'll put a jam knot here, and then we'll work at the top. So remember what I said about the length of quarters that we're going to be using. Well, this is just a little bit more than an arm's length. All right, we're just using 550 quarters. And what we're going to do is we're going to take out the guts. We don't need the guts, and actually the jam knot will work really well in this application without having the guts inside it. So go ahead and take it out. First thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tie your first jam knot. And what I'll do is I'll take this, but instead of having my cross piece like this, what I want this to do is I want this to be rock solid. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to tie it over here like this. Okay? And then I'm going to simply start to pull this tighter like that. Now, before I actually cinch this down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to take this loop and I'll put it through here. Okay? Now I take this through. Now this won't go anywhere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this, and now it's going to tighten on itself. Now we just made that tighter, and that's what we want. So, now we can go ahead and we can cinch our other one up. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the other joints in the same method. Remember, we put that loop in there, run this around in, and it's not going to go anywhere. And now we have our frame. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's pretty tight. It's not going anywhere. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make out some tie outs to go along with it. Some guys use toggles. I don't use toggles. I just use loops. And what I'll do is I'll put two along the bottom, I'll put two along the sides, and one up in the top. Alright, so as you can see here, I put my tie outs. Put 2 on the bottom. I got lazy. I only put 1 on each upright, and then I put 1 right up here in the centerpiece. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our straps for carrying. Just find the center of my webbing. Come here to the pack frame. Put it over the top, and I looped it through the bottom. Okay? Again, see? I just make a loop, go right over the top. If I wanted to make it more secure, what I could do is I can come back up through this right here. Now it'll stay in place. And here's my straps. They go over. And remember, you're going to come around your X's in the back. And essentially, that's how you make the Roycroft pack frame. So there's many different ways that you can tie this. There's many different ways that you can lash it. That's the way I learned it from Karamat. That's the way Mors and Kelly teach it. That's the way I do it. So this is Brian from Snowwalker Bushcraft. Thank you for your views and your comments. Till the next one, walk the woods.